Hi, Rabbi Posner. This is Rosie Weinstein, and unfortunately, Sunday night, my grandmother, my very holy grandmother, Rivka Rabashkin, really was an extraordinary holy woman. The holiest woman I think living today would be her, and she passed away Sunday night. And I wanted to share a little. Maybe the world will be. Really be incredible for the world to be able to hear about such a woman that existed. She was born in Belarus, and she passed away 3 months shy to her 100th birthday. She was almost 100 years old. On Shmini Atzeres, she would be 100 years old. She fled the Nazis. Her and her family fled the Nazis as a child. Then she ended up in Samarkand, where all the Lubavitch families, were displaced, and married my grandfather. She was 18 years old, and he was 18, and she was 19 years old, and they got married. And then they left Samarkand, and they went to a DP camp where they had their first child in Austria, and then they ended up in France, and they had 3 more children, and they got a tremendous. My grandfather actually wanted to go to Australia. He had a deep desire to build a big business, and in Australia was a tremendous opportunity after the war. And my grandmother, she was known as Riva Rabashkin. She very much wanted to come to America because the Rebbe was there, the Frierdiker Rebbe was there, and her family. And they wrote a telegram from France asking the Frierdiker Rebbe, where should they go and where should they move? And the Frierdiker Rebbe circled America and wrote a bracha, a blessing that my grandfather will open a business and be very blessed. And as I'm sure you know, my grandfather established the #1 meat kosher company in America and made kosher meat available all over really the world from this bracha. They had an open home where they had a full table Friday night and a Shabbos day. Not only on Shabbos, they also had their basement was filled with homeless Jewish people. During the 1970s, when the Iranian Jews were let free and fled from Iran, they housed tons of Iranian Jews for many years, till they actually found their own homes. My grandmother was such a flowing, generous, giving person that she wanted a avenue to be able to do that. And my grandfather opened up a deli, and for many years she would wake up in the 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning as if she needed every dollar, which Baruch Hashem she didn't, to go there. She would daven while her food was cooking, and she ran a deli. There was a tremendous deficit every year of money. They didn't only not make any money in this deli, but they lost a tremendous amount of money. $150,000 back then was astronomical. And my grandfather kept it up because my grandmother was so passionate about it, and she did so many mitzvahs. In this deli, she ended up it became like a soup kitchen, because anybody off the street that wanted to be seen, that wanted to be heard, that wanted a meal, that wanted a place to sit, a place to be a human, they walked into this deli. And then many people that had money came in because the food was so delicious. And there's hundreds of thousands of stories about what went on in this deli. In addition to my grandparents' house, the story is they would walk into the house, and the people living there didn't even know that my grandparents were the owners of the house and that was their home. It was just beyond amazing. And at the end of the day, in her deli shop, she would carry home bags of food for the people that forgot to come. They weren't well enough to come to the deli to eat. She would carry them food just in case they didn't need a dinner. So one time, this young boy that she helped met her many years later, and he came to her when he was shortly after his bar mitzvah, and he said, "Don't you remember me? You helped me so much, and you fed me and took care of me." And my grandmother, right away, she was a very sharp woman. She said, when you do something for somebody else, when somebody does a favor for you, you must not forget. But when you do a favor for somebody else, you must forget. And yeah.
I think you wanted me to record that the last years of her life, all she did was read Tehillim because she was very weak.
So she was a tremendous davener, and all her children are tremendous daveners because of it, and her grandchildren, her great grandchildren. She leaves over 1,000 descendants. Baruch Hashem, very, very large family. When her son was taken, Rabbi Shalom Mordechai Rabashkin is her son, was taken, she would say the whole Tehillim every day, but when her son was taken, she finished the whole Tehillim twice a day for 8.5 years. When he was taken, her deli was closed down by the whole raid, and from 2008, it was suddenly closed down, and she had so much trauma from it. She couldn't believe it. Like, one day her whole life stopped. And she thought she couldn't get over it. And one day she thought to herself, you know what? Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to thank Hashem for all the years that He allowed me to have this deli. And she turned it around, and all her upsetness and all her sadness and all her trauma disappeared. And every day whenever she thought about the deli, it's called Crowns, she would say, thank you Hashem for giving me all those years. I'm not sure how many years it was open. I think 27 years, I'm not sure. Thank you Hashem for giving me 27.5 years of being able to have this deli, be able to do all these mitzvahs and help so many people.